You're listening to Glitter Joyride, a weekly Substack by Pavani More. How to grieve who you used to be. Being non binary is a case study in shifting identities. You have lived so many lifetimes in this one, am I right? And as many lives as you've had that many deaths, minus the final one. The painful metamorphosis, midlife crisis, self reinvention. You, like me, have likely been called at various points in your life to grieve iterations of yourself that are no longer relevant. What was it like for you the first time your skin no longer fit? When you outgrew the structures that kept your nascent knowing contained? Did you break up with family values, a religion, a doctrine, a relationship in order to be yourself? For me, shedding an identity hurts like hell every time. I spend some time in denial, then fight the change. Finally, still in the identity, I grieve, wishing it didn't have to be different. By the time the ill-fitting identity drops away, it's more like a cicada skin left on a tree trunk, an empty husk, ready to be recycled into the energy of the earth. The first time I let go was a beloved hippie identity I adopted in college. Long calico hand-sewn dresses, Birkenstocks, patchouli. Call me Daisy and I'll hug you and hand you a flower. Ram Dass, Grateful Dead, incense and beads. Well, you know. I would likely have annoyed the shit out of you with my hippie speak aphorisms and my 20-something idealism. I look back on this time with a feeling akin to the cringe of reading an old high school journal. It no longer felt right once my commitment to justice became stronger than my desire for spiritual bypass of the peace and love variety. I had to let Daisy go. Or was it living in post-communist Eastern Europe that shattered my naivete? In any case, I couldn't find my way back to the flowered one. I grieved her loss, her sublime, sunshiny beauty, but she didn't fit anymore. The next time it happened was my initiation. Something I've never told you because I've told only a very few people is that I was initiated in a tantric Hindu tradition in 2006. In preparation, I did a year of rigorous study and practice. I thought the preparation was the doorway, but immediately after my initiation, my entire life exploded spectacularly. And I've come to learn that this is a common experience. Brutal beauty, I'll call it. Remaining in my heterosexual monogamous marriage with no emotional intelligence was not an option. I stepped out of the role of wife. That identity was hard to let go of. It provided so much access and social capital, especially once I produced offspring and did my duty to capitalism. But wow, queerness, femness, the pull of the shaver in the shower, silky soft legs, hair blown out, hours spent at the mirror, the shaping of a corset, and the smoky rose beauty of ritual magic were a threshold I gladly crossed. 5 years that initiatory period lasted. Old relationships cracked and peeled away like sun-baked paint on the hood of a Midwestern Camaro. The best part of submerging to your depths is that when you finally reemerge, as you always do, it's like reincarnation. New year, new you, right? What gets glossed over when speaking of shifting identities is that the old identity is dying and has to be grieved. If it's not grieved, don't worry, because it will just pop up later like a whack-a-mole waiting to be acknowledged. No one here gets out alive, and when parts die, they often want a funeral, or at least the grieving and caterwauling of loss. What I'm being asked to let go of now is less an identity and more a subtle strategy. I'm being asked to let go of the part of me that can bypass my own needs to maintain relationships. Can you relate? How many times have you overridden what you needed and wanted as a price of admission to a relationship that can't hold all of the yous you are becoming? All relationships grow and change as the people in them do, and sometimes they stop fitting. We become misaligned. We complete with each other what we were meant to do on some soul level, and then the relationship ends. Several important relationships have ended in my life in the past 2 years, and I've been grieving them, even as I knew the necessity of the end. I thought it was purely grieving the loss of the former closeness, connection, and intimacy, the shared laughs and understanding. but ready to be gobsmacked because I was gobsmacked when I realized this recently. I am also grieving the part of me that could overlook my own needs to be in those relationships. That part is over. That part has died. And part of what has seemed intractable grief is not about the loss of the relationships with others, but the loss of the part of me that could avoid naming hard truths. I thought I was becoming more intolerant, more precious. I had judgment about ending relationships that weren't working for me. My story has been I can't maintain community relationships. I suck at community. I believed firmer, more ungracious boundaries were indicative of the calcification of my heart. But my recent realization tells me the opposite is true. My heart is softening to my own needs. What I was storing as intolerance, I am reframing as healing. As parts heal up, they can no longer bear the incongruence of being in relationship while denying big truths. This realization is a colossal script flip, so I want to make sure you really get it because it has application in your life. For example, I need clarity about loyalty in relationships. So if I have an ex and you want to be in relationship with both me and my ex, it doesn't work for me. It doesn't work for me anymore, and it doesn't meet my need to be clear about what's what and to trust that you have my back. I can't bear it because the part of me that used to be able to bear it has healed. Not being able to bear it is not a problem like I thought. It's a sign of self-love, of healing. Makes sense. So where in your life is your script about yourself inaccurate? Grieving parts that have healed is new to me, but I'll tell you this. As soon as I acknowledged that my grief was about more than just ending the connections, the grief lessened. Big life lessons are cyclical, aren't they? We go around and around, learning the same things again, deepening our understanding each pass. And I really hope I've got this one now. Healing is not always easy to spot. What looks like toughening can actually be softening.